Are you struggling against Town Hall 13s and Town Hall 14s? This one attack strategy will allow you to win your mismatches. And that army is the Blizzard Mass Baby Dragon. I find this to be the best way and most consistent way to get at least a 70% or more, depending on how maxed the base is. So overall, you want to start with the Blizzard. A Lava Hound and Battle Blimp is what you'll want to use. And on this base in particular, where this is a fairly common base that you may see at Town Hall 13 and Town Hall 14, you want to make sure that you're using them right in that dead zone spot. Using a rage spell and using the invisibility spells every 4 seconds-ish in order to make sure that you're able to get through the entire base, at least from that compartment. You may find a tornado, but that's fine because you've got the invisibility spells. In this case, I got lucky in order to take down the enemy's CC, and this also allows you to then pick off a lot of different structures. As you can see right over here, we have 17%, and taking advantage of those type of bases, you really want to try and look for at least a huge amount of value from the base to get that sort of percentage, and the Town Hall. So at this point, you then want to start sending in where you want to enter into. In this case, I want to enter towards the Eagle Artillery. So funneling out this side and this side does help. I can use a baby dragon, or I can use a Yeti in that case, and that just allows me to get a little bit more, so I can send in the rest of my Ice Golems, the Barbarian King, Archer Queen, and Grand Warden. Making sure that I've got an easy push and dealing with some of the bigger, heavier set defenses is important, but use the Grand Warden ability once all the Barbarians spawn from his ability. You want to make sure that that's the case, because then you're able to get through the rest of the base, or at least that part, a bit more cleanly. After that stage, you're just going to start spreading around your baby dragons. That is exactly what I'm doing here, so I'm using some baby dragons here, some over here. Of course, there is a lot of heavy fire at Town Hall 14, so it makes it pretty difficult, and even though my point defenses aren't maxed out per se, it can still work pretty well. In this case, I still had my Archer Queen ability that I could use right there in order to make sure I'm getting a bit more percentage, but I find this to be fairly consistent, but of course, it depends on how max you're seeing, and in this case, I have all my key defenses maxed out, which means that I was going to get at least a decent sort of percentage, and in this case, I was able to get about a 78%, which is still very, very good. It's not an 80%, but you can still get a pretty high percentage as a Town Hall 12 versus a Town Hall 13 or Town Hall 14 very consistently. But that's just one of 3 other base types. Now, what about the anti-1-star bases? In this case, you want to use your Lava Hound, Battle Blimp, very similar function. You want to make sure that you're able to get a good amount of it going, and you want to make sure that you're then using the invisibility spell and the rage spell. In this case, there's going to be giant bombs around there, but you always want to be very prepared for there to be like spring traps. So making sure that you're using the invisibility spells to protect them, this is why you're bringing 8 of them. So you want to make sure that you're getting to the Town Hall. I use another rage to recoup, and then allowing my invisibility spells to deal with the enemy CC, and also deal with the rest of it. I didn't get as much percentage as I did in the previous ones, but that's fine, because there is an open area here, an open ring for my heroes. That's how you want to consider it. I would always highly try to recommend getting rid of the enemy CC and, of course, the Eagle Artillery, but to each their own. You want to make sure that you've got the Ice Golems moving through. 2 to 3 Ice Golems is more than enough. You saw 2 in the previous example, but in this case, using 3 can still be a very good option. Using the Barbarian King ability and then also using that Grand Warden ability can help. Maybe taking advantage of the death damage freeze from the Ice Golem can also help include it. And just making sure that you're moving all the way around and then starting to sprinkle in your baby dragons is always really important. Try to space out your baby dragons as much as possible. Now, in this space, an E-Drag could have been better. So, of course, the Blizzard Mass E-Drag could have been used. But I feel like the baby dragons are the best troop in terms of the percentage game and getting a 2-star more consistently. So you just want to make sure that you're getting the most from all of your spells, mainly with the Blizzard, and then just allowing yourself to strategically use your baby dragons. In this case, I was able to use a couple of the balloons to look for anything, or even some of the archers to pick off different buildings. So taking advantage of that is always going to be really important, but you can get a fairly decent 2-star with the use of this, just having those archers to kind of pick off, which can help a lot. And this is why this is, again, a very simple way and a very consistent way to get a 2-star. Now, the teaser bases. We all hate these bases, and this is by far the most annoying base to hit. So in this case, using the Battle Blimp and the Lava Hound, moving yourself across, I decided to go in directly across the Town Hall. This is super risky, by the way, but it can work in your favor if the air defense is a little bit deeper set in the base where it's not going to really hit your Battle Blimp. But you want to make sure that you're getting your Blimp all the way over, and just barely for me, I got it right in that compartment. This may not happen to you, so you do have to be very careful. These are very annoying bases. So being able to use the invisibility spells, the rage spell, that just allows you to clear through some of the remaining defensive structures, and of course, getting rid of the Town Hall. Since my invisibility spells are only level 3, and that's for most of us at Town Hall 12, you do want to make sure that you're getting the most from it and using the rage spells to replenish them. Overall, this can work incredibly well. And you just want to make sure that at this stage, you then start to go ahead and use your heroes at the topmost area. Using super wall breakers are usually the most common way to break in, but in this case, take a look at this opening area. I got 16% from the use of the Yeti and Battle Blimp, so then it's time to use my heroes to get a larger percentage, which this could be 50%, and that gets me the 2-star. Overall, you just want to make sure that you are able to use the 2 to 3 ice golems. I think in this case, I should have only brought 2. In this case, I also used the balloons with my heroes, which didn't really amount to anything, so don't do that, but I wanted to test it out and try it out. Using the Grand Warden ability with the Barbarian King ability does help. This one did have single target Infernos, but I was still able to get through. For the most part, you just want to make sure that at this stage, you're starting to use some of your baby dragons all around, using them to funnel, and then also to using them to start to pick off different buildings. But overall, you can still get it. I didn't think I was going to get a 2-star with this one, or at least a high percentage too, like a 70%, but I was able to just barely because of the final baby dragon up top. Overall, 71% 2-star, it's not necessarily bad, but of course, this is the most annoying type of base, and if there were multis, I probably would have gotten a much higher percentage. But here's an example of the infamous teaser bases, but you always want to make sure that you're starting with the Lava Hound, a couple balloons to get rid of something like an air defense or archer tower, and then using the Battle Blimp. Making sure to use the invisibility spells to get rid of the scatter allowed most of my troops to go like this and then go all the way back around. That's how you kind of want to think about it. You may have also noticed that I'm using a second rage spell, and that's because I'm using 8 invisibility spells, and that allows me to get even more from the Blizzard. So you always want to make sure that what you're doing is using the Blizzard to get rid of the Town Hall, and then you want to make sure that you are following your super wizards with the invisibility spells. In this case, I got very, very lucky having all of them move across, using another rage spell and invisibility. Of course, I could have corrected this by saving it or using it over the Royal Champion, and that would have cleared through this scatter. But that's fine. I got a good amount of value. 18% is still a lot. At this point, I decided to go in down for the Clan Castle. So you always want to prioritize the enemy CC as well. So I created the funnel here. I did the same thing on this side so I could drive my troops in. The same basic formula you want to follow. You want to use that Grand Warden ability over your Barbarian King and Archer Queen, especially after you use the Barbarian King's ability. I have a very low level Barbarian King, 53. So he's not extremely tanky and not extremely strong and doesn't have that many barbarians. But Using the Grand Warden ability protects all of those barbarians for the most part, and also protects my heroes and also the Barbarian King himself. Then I'm just able to start sprinkling in the baby dragons all around the base, while allowing myself to have the ice golems freeze up defensive structures in the base, and it allows me to still move through. And making sure that you're just spreading your baby dragons kind of all around is always going to be really, really important. You just want to make sure that you're able to consistently getting down some of the defenses is always going to be the most important thing. Sometimes you might even get really lucky and still have your queen alive, like I did against the scatter, and that really helped me a lot getting through the rest of it, because the Grand Warden would have struggled, and thank God that the Grand Warden was able to stay up and clear through the air defense and these remaining structures, which allowed me to get a 74%. So having the Grand Warden go in with your two heroes, the Barbarian King and Archer Queen, does help a lot, because you will be able to get a 2-star fairly consistently with the use of this attack. Go on and win your mismatches and get those 2 stars versus Town Hall 13s and Town Hall 14s as a Town Hall 12. Consider subscribing and ringing the bell for more quality content like this, and make sure to use my code CORRUPT before purchasing the Gold Pass. And I'll be catching you in the next video. Corrupt, signing out.